Think about flowers right now with entrepreneurship. People like the glitz and the glam. They like the glossy Instagram photos that look of entrepreneurship. So you have like those flowers, they smell good, they look pretty, people love them, they get your attention. But if you don't take the time and build the root system, what happens when fall and winters comes? You have nothing. So you have to focus on and build those strong roots. And that is all about your relationships. It's building patience, it's building systems, it's everything that entrepreneurship is from the ground up. But on Instagram, we only see it, the actual like finished product or the work in progress.
What up, it's Mr. X to the Z Exhibit.
What's up, guys? It's Andy Frisella.
This is your boy, Trout Monk.
This is Ryan Serhant.
This is Shingy.
Hi, it's Patrick McNiven.
This is Sonia Servitani.
This is Director X.
Hey, everybody, I'm Forbes Riley.
Yo, this is Goldie.
This is Amberly Lago.
This is Chris Voss.
Michael Francis here.
Yo, this is Charlie Tuna.
Hey, what's up? It's Billy G.
And you're listening to the Run GpG
podcast.
Well, I'm going to go hang out and listen to David's next podcast from the Run GpG.
You might hear something you like. Peace.
Emily Frisella is a multi-passionate entrepreneur who started her first brick and mortar business at the age of 20. She is the founder of the Paper and Plan Co. and the author of several Amazon best-selling cookbooks. Emily is also the founder of the Women in Business Workshop, COO of 44/7 Media, COO of Arete Syndicate, co-host of the Curious Me podcast, co-founder of the Freedom Reads book club, as well as a business coach and speaker. Emily encourages entrepreneurs to use their voice and reach their potential in their personal and professional lives through self-development, accountability, awareness, and building authentic relationships. Emily, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the Run GpG podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this for a minute. You've got a lot going on.
I know. It's my bio needs to be just, she's crazy. That's all it needs to say.
Yeah. Well, listen, I really like the phrase in your bio there, multi-passionate entrepreneur. Very interesting. Now, taking a look at all you're doing, I think you'd have to be passionate to have the energy to be involved in all of those things. So where did the passion for entrepreneurship come from? Can you give us some background maybe?
Yeah, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My dad owned trucking companies and brokerage firms my entire life. Also, we have a cattle farm that I grew up on. So he would get up, work on the farm, and then drive an hour and 20 minutes to his office all day, drive home an hour and 20 minutes, eat dinner. My mom would have dinner on the table every night at the same time. He'd eat dinner and go down and check the cows, feed them, and come back to the house. So I just grew up in a family that, my dad was a crazy, insane entrepreneur, did great. I learned a lot from him. And that's where I really got the spark for it, because I saw what the entrepreneurial life could afford you. And I don't mean material things. I just meant like the freedom and things like that. So I saw that. And so that was always really inspiring to me. And that's why when I was 14 years old when I got my first job to save money to open my own business. And I opened my own business when I was 20 years old.
Amazing. I heard you describe your family as the Waltons. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Very cool. I remember that show. I love that show.
Yes.
Did you say goodnight the same way? Was it like goodnight, Emily?
Oh yeah, no, it was just, my parents have married 47 years. So myself, my two sisters, dinner on the table every night. We're saying prayers, church on Sunday, my mom was a, religion school teacher. My dad was a Eucharistic minister in our church, and very just wholesome family. I feel super blessed to have that, because I realized I took it for granted as a younger kid. And now as I've gotten older, I realize what a rarity that is. Yeah, very cool. So the roots, like, you grew up on a farm, it's in the DNA, right? When it comes to entrepreneurship, business, and the hard work on a farm. Can you think of the most important lesson maybe you learned from your family and your father then? Aside just from like work ethic, there's actually two things always stick out to me. It was, you don't deserve respect, you earn respect. And that's the same with success. You don't deserve success, you earn success. And then secondly, it would be a phrase my dad always taught us about managing money was, watch your pennies and your dollars will take care of themselves. And what that meant was, people see, oh, it's a little bit of money here. It's a little bit here, a little bit here, but then it all adds up larger, where if you start to watch those little expenses like that, and you pay attention to the micro things, your macro grows on a larger scale. Very cool. Fantastic sound bites. I love that. Now you did talk about starting your own business at 20, but I think before that you were working, was it at a design firm? Is that what you were doing? No, so I did that after I sold my company. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So when I was 14, I started working to save money because I knew I wanted to buy my own house because my parents always said, you know, you need to buy your house, don't rent it. So at 19, I bought my first house and did a rehab job on it and everything. And then at 20, I bought a building and some property and opened my first business. I kept that for several years and then decided to sell that business. So it was kind of in that middle ground between selling my business and for me, starting to work, like writing my cookbooks. I worked for a graphic design firm and I was their account manager, accounting, office manager, all that kind of jazz. I kind of was a one-stop shop.
Yeah. And well, thank you for telling us. So where I was going with that was, you know, where and when did you realize you weren't built to work for other people? You know, when we talk about entrepreneurship, because all entrepreneurs have that aha moment, right? Where they go, I'm not going to work for somebody else for the rest of my life.
And that was something that was really, you know, because as a young teen, you're just used to that, you know, waitressing, working at a golf course, all that kind of stuff. But then I had already had a taste of owning my own business and I loved it. And then going to work in like an office setting, I absolutely loved the people and I loved the work that I did, but I was never fully fulfilled because it wasn't mine. You know what I mean? Because my bosses were absolutely amazing. I'm still great friends with them, but it's like, well, if I have a great idea, I want to be able to just implement it, not have to go through steps and strategies, you know what I mean, to make it happen. But they were still receptive to all my ideas. So, I loved that, but I just knew that I still wanted to do my own thing. And so it was, I had been writing my cookbook for my very first book for about a year, but, you know, working, I was only able to write it at night or on the weekends if we weren't busy. And, you know, do the recipe testing and things like that. And so I went home. We had a week off between Christmas and New Year. And I was at home and was talking to Andy about it. And we decided that, you know, this was when I think we had just gotten married. It was about 10 years ago, I guess. And we decided that I would quit my career there and go full force on my cookbook. And so I decided to do that. And I went in and I gave them my notice and I gave them, I think, a 60-day notice, because I had to train some people to do what I did. And then I have been an entrepreneur again since then.
What a career. I love it. And I do want to talk about the new book in a few moments here, but you know, you do work with a lot of entrepreneurs now. Off the top of your head, what do you think some of the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs and business builders making right now? Is there a mistake you see entrepreneurs making right now?
There's two. It's the not investing in their people. Because, you know, and I mean that with the relationships, because you think about an office building, what do you have in there? Computers, phones, maybe a fax machine. You have all this stuff. And they think these are like some sort of like an asset, but the biggest asset you have are your people. If your people aren't there, you don't have a business. So I think it's, you know, it's that relationship building and that culture building with their staff and their, you know, any employees or people remote. And then it's also their lack of patience for the process. Because I think Instagram has highly glorified entrepreneurship to where everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. And I used this analogy this past weekend at our Arete Live Syndicate, whenever I was introducing the event. I spoke of it like a bouquet of flowers. Like you think about flowers right now with entrepreneurship. People like the glitz and the glam. They like the glossy Instagram photos that look of entrepreneurship. You know, so you have like this flowers, they smell good, they look pretty, people love them, they get your attention. But if you don't take the time and build the root system, what happens when fall and winters comes? You have nothing. The blooms die and that's it. What are you left with? So you have to focus on and build those strong roots. And that is all about your relationships. It's building patience. It's building systems. It's everything that entrepreneurship is from the ground up. But on Instagram, we only see it, the actual like quote, finished product or the work in progress.
Man, I love that. That's fantastic. Great breakdown. On the other hand, is there a commonality that you see among successful entrepreneurs? Something that, you know, kind of stitches them together?
They care. That's really all it is. They care. They care about what they do, why they do it, who is doing it, and what the result is. They want to make an impact. And that's what I see the most with the real, true, successful entrepreneurs that I know personally, heart to heart, not the ones that look successful online, the ones that I know are for sure successful. That is a quality they all have. They would all give you the shirt off their back if you ask them to.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, and speaking of giving the shirt off your back, you do have a high profile relationship, I would say, right? A high profile husband for sure. right? He talks passionately about business and entrepreneurship, and you both, you both work on your own businesses and your personal brands separately, but you also work together on some things and some projects, right? So what advice do you have for working and living and being married to a business partner? This is a question that I know a lot of wives ask. I'm sure my wife would say, "Hey, please ask her this." Do you take your work home with you? Do you shut it off? Like, what advice do you have for couples in similar situation?
You have to set these boundaries. I know that sounds like okay, cool, boundaries. But Andy and I, we have worked together for about 6 years, and actually kind of came about just by chance because we were sitting at lunch one day and I said, "You know what? I said, your team needs to do X, Y, Z and then do this and blah, blah." And he was like, "Yeah, they do." And then I was like, "And then we could do this and da, da." And he goes, "Do you just want to run my shit?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, you'll be able to do that with your other stuff you do." And I said, "Yeah, that's no problem." And so that's how I actually became the COO of the companies. It was just through that conversation at lunch one day. But, the thing that we've always been very good about, and it was almost an unspoken thing. We never had to sit down and have this like conversation. However, if you don't have this working relationship, it isn't a conversation that must be had, is we do not take work home with us. When we are at our house together, it is Andy and Emily, husband and wife. It is not Andy and Emily who work together, who are also married, because you don't want them to turn into just like where you live with a coworker. You know what I mean? And so we only communicate about work during work hours. Now, I work from home sometimes as well, but if he is gone from the house, that's when we talk about work. I'll call him, we'll text about it, whatever it is, or if obviously I'm at HQ, we will talk then about it. But when we are both home together, we do not talk about work unless it's like some dire emergency that comes up while we're here. And that's been a very good work relationship that we've had. And if we have any like disputes or disagreements at work about something, it literally stays at work. We are not people that are like, we do not let emotion get involved in business decisions. And that is so key for people, because he doesn't get offended if I don't like something. I don't get offended if he doesn't like something. But when we walk through our doors at our house, it is like nothing ever happened. It's almost like we're living like two completely separate like lives, if you will, if that makes sense.
You're like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It makes sense.
Don't they kill each other though? We're not.
Well, I feel like, did they? I don't remember the end, but
I don't either.
Well, hey, it's good advice. It's great advice, right? Separating the two. It's hard, right? It's hard to shut it off.
It is. And that's the thing. It may take a little bit of practice because it's just natural. Like, oh, hey, tomorrow you have this, but it's like, you have to catch yourself doing that, because the thing is like, you have to think about the life of an entrepreneur is not easy. You're making so many decisions a day, answering to so many people, and people think because you're an entrepreneur, you're the boss. No, your employees are basically your boss, and you know what I mean? You're just kind of like the one navigating the ship, if you will. Yeah. And so it took, it can take some practice, but honestly, I just feel like that's the healthiest way, because then, and I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but that's just what we have found that works for us, because then we are still able to have that married, good relationship there, and also a great working relationship.
It's fantastic advice. I appreciate you breaking that down. Now, as mentioned, you do have this high profile relationship. So I have to ask you, how did you meet? And, what does a first date with Andy Frisella look like?
Okay. Well, I met Andy 17 years ago. I was his bill collector because he could not pay his bills. He defaulted on some bills that he had at my office, and he was $70,000 in credit card debt at the moment. And I had to call him several times. I would call him about once or twice a week, trying to work out payment terms or anything like that, because he had 2 retail stores at the time, and his debt from his credit card was not frivolous spending. It was, he was reinvesting, like buying inventory for his stores that he was trying to get off the ground. And we were acquaintances for about 3 years through this. And then we were both single at this moment, and he had become friends with my boss, and my boss had, mentioned something about me being single. And then Andy and I just kind of like would start chit-chatting, nothing crazy. And then MySpace was around back then, and we would just message each other every once in a while on MySpace. And then that just kind of turned into us going out on a date. And we went out on our first date to a little Italian place. We had, I think, calamari and beer, and then we went to a little hole in the wall, beer, tequila shots, and gumbo. And that was it.
See, I thought that was one of those ones you were going to say next question.
Oh, no.
You answered it like a champion. That was good.
Yeah.
What a closer. It goes from like, you're defaulting on your bills to like, hey, why don't we just go for a date and talk about it? So yeah. I think that like,
Well, he apparently liked me, and he brought his dad in to meet me and brought his dog in because he knew that I love dogs. And so we just kind of like would chit chat. And then finally I asked him what he was doing for his birthday, and he wasn't doing anything. I said, well, let's go out. And so technically I asked him out.
It was meant to be, Emily.
Yes.
It was meant to be.
Yep.
So you talked about the cookbooks, but what was the catalyst behind the cookbooks? Like, why did you write them?
I was finally, because I was a college athlete. I was an athlete all my life, played volleyball. And then, you stop training 2 or 3 hours a day. I was eating and I'd gained like 15 pounds after I stopped playing volleyball. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get more serious about my health, like, more weightlifting and things like that. And I wanted to cook healthy food. And I would go to the bookstore or look online, and I would get these cookbooks that were just too many ingredients, crap that I could not even pronounce. I had to Google what it was. And, or things that were like so expensive to make. I was like, this is not it. And I couldn't find anything that I liked. And so I said, well, I'll just write my own then. And that's honestly it. I was tired of I couldn't find what I wanted. So I wrote my own.
I love that. Now I'm sure you have a couple like go-to favorite recipes from the books that you and Andy go, okay, we're going to like, this is one of my favorites. Like, what would those be if you had to pick, let's say 2?
Do protein chocolate chip cookies count?
Absolutely. That sounds fantastic.
I think that one and then this bruschetta chicken that I make is probably our 2 favorites.
See, that sounds really good. I'm going to have to pick up the book, or I'll suggest that my wife and I make a date with it. Okay. So speaking of books, the new book, Relationships First, People, Passion, and Profits. Maybe tell us what the book is all about and why you wrote this one.
Sure. It's 9 chapters, and each chapter is one of my core values, my business. And I share with you why it's my core value, how I messed it up previously, what you can do to not make those same mistakes, the importance of why you do the things in your business that you do. A lot of people look at business as money, transactional. They don't realize it's the relationships first that count. Because in the book, I kind of tell my story about getting my first job when I was 14, waiting on customers, just doing the best that I could. Then when I opened my first business when I was 20, I already had built-in customer base because they were all so happy for me that here I was, this 14-year-old girl that was their waitress, and now I'm 20 and I have my own business and everything else, and they wanted to support me. And it's because the relationships that I built with these people all those years before. The book is really just about the importance of relationships, how to build them, how to maintain them, and why they are so key. And it's a book that I wrote to be shared with leadership teams and managements and people within your company to understand the why. And in the back of the book, I even for each chapter have like 5 different little questions you can fill out in the back of the book as to like why and kind of self-assessments and things like that.
Well, I'm excited to read it. And the media package for the book quotes you as saying, no matter what your path looks like, I believe it starts with relationships, building them, maintaining them, valuing them for the long term. And I think that topic, it's so important and relevant and timely because, we talked about it, short-sighted entrepreneurs, they often don't consider the lifetime value of a lead, a customer, or a client. As it says here, plenty of businesses exist, but only some get lifelong customers. So how do you create something genuine that's built to last? Well, you talk about it in detail in the book. And I do want to break down a couple of the concepts, if that's okay with you. Firstly, you mentioned the need to respect the potential and significance of every person, the need to respect the potential and the significance of every person. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how I have that one or how that came about. Because I always tease Andy that it's called pretty woman syndrome is what I dubbed it, where you can walk it. Now, this is just my personal experience. I could walk into a store dressed in workout clothes, hair all sweaty from working out, but I'm going to buy something. I do not get the service that I do if I go in when I'm like dressed up, have my jewelry on, have my purse and everything else. Because, if you ever see the movie Pretty Woman, she goes in and, whenever she was a prostitute and they don't want to help her, but then she's dressed up, same person, but just dressed up nicer. Then they all are like falling over themselves to help her. So it's respecting the significance of every person because you never know what that person can bring or the network that they are connected to that can serve you.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Richard Gere, Richard Gere. I do remember. How old are we?
I know it's so bad.
I don't know what's gonna. I hope our listeners know the movie we're talking about.
I pray they do, or I just like completely just delete this whole thing.
Richard, no, it's all good. It's all good. Fans of was that 80s or was that early 90s?
I think it was early 90s.
Yes, thank God. Okay. The next point I wanted to bring up, showing appreciation and gratitude. Like, why and how should you be doing that?
Because, how good does it feel whenever you get something in the mail that's not a bill, right? Your friend sends you a card, or you get like a little thank you for your purchase or whatever it is. It's that someone took the time extra to take that time with you to show you truly how they care. So something I always say is put your time on paper. I'm huge on thank you notes. I always have been. That's the way my parents raised us to write thank you cards. And still every single book that's purchased, I am the one that is writing the handwritten card with it. And, my staff, we write them with everything that goes on the paper and plan co. It's showing that appreciation, because I am not ignorant to the fact that there are a lot of leadership books. There's a lot of planner and stationery companies. Everyone has a lot of choices now. And I just want to be able to show them even just a small token of gratitude of a thank you card, that I appreciate them choosing to spend their very hard-earned money with my company. That means more than anything else, because it's them showing that their support for me. So it's the least I can do to show them, a courtesy back.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. It's a great breakdown. One of the other points, there's two others I want to ask you about, maybe three, but demonstrate personal accountability. So this is a good point. There's so many that are reluctant to take accountability for mistakes. Why is it important to do that?
Accountability is not only good for, you in business, but it's important in life. If you are someone that will pick up a piece of trash on the floor if your boss is watching, or you someone that operates with integrity and will pick it up no matter if nobody's around at all. It's that accountability to yourself, that you are holding yourself to the highest standard that you have. Standards have slipped so far down where nobody even knows what a high standard is, I think. And, that accountability, you start to build on that. It's like confidence as well. It's like your meter of accountability goes up and up and up. Like if you step into my office or my studio where my girls work and everything, it's going to be spotless. We don't have a cleaning lady. It's everyone takes personal accountability. They're cleaning their space. They're showing respect for what they do. It's spotless. Same thing in HQ. We don't have a cleaning crew. Every employee cleans up their own area. It's having that personal accountability, because then when you feel like you are delivering on that aspect, you also deliver better for your customers as well, because you're feeling good about who you are. It kind of ties in with the confidence and integrity.
Yeah, it's really good. I love those thoughts. I think that's important. And then you also talk about creating a culture of improvement. A culture of improvement. What do you mean by that?
I mean improvement all around. That's personal and professional. So if we create a culture of improvement, you are all trying to strive together to get better as humans together. That could be with your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health. And then also with a culture of improvement, it's us as a company. How can we get better? There's different sorts of, innovation aspects to this. There's ways, how can we operate better? How can we be better? How can we serve our customers better? There's always opportunities for improvement all around. So it's really just, working as a team to create that culture, because then again, you don't just want to set the standard, you want to become the standard.
Mm-hmm. And you also talk about having fun, acting with integrity, and thinking big. I love that, especially the think big part. What does that mean to you? Thinking big. What does that mean?
I want my girls, because I have all women that work for me for paper and plan company, but so I would say my girls, I want all of them to dream so big that they are embarrassed to tell me what their dreams are and what their goals are. I want it to be so outlandish. They think she would be crazy, or she'll think I'm crazy if I tell her this. And, that's so important, because they always say, I don't even like the saying, but it's shoot for the moon and at least you'll land on the stars type of thing. If your goal is to only gain 10 feet, well, you're probably only going to gain a foot. You have to dream 8, 9, 10 times larger than what you actually want to achieve to be able to visualize that, to work on manifesting that. I completely believe in that whole realm of law of attraction, because I've seen it happen too much in my own life to deny that. And so I want my girls to create these visions and to cast these visions they can see themselves in every little aspect of their lives, and work to strive, towards that every day.
It's so necessary, right? Like the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. You need them.
Yep. Exactly.
It's almost like you wrote the book on it, Emily. Which you did.
Almost.
You wrote the book on it, which is there. Again, thanks for breaking down those different points in the book. Like I said, I'm excited to read it, obviously, and you spoke with authority on those points, like you wrote the book. So it's fantastic. But I do want to ask you about personal development, because the book also talks about combining personal development within the strategic principles that we discussed. So how much of 75 Hard ended up in the book, if any?
I didn't put any of it in there.
None, hey?
Mm-mm. No, I keep I try to keep everything with Andy and I, pretty separate. I do mention Andy in there talking about, his visualization and seeing big dreams achieved, because when we were dating, he showed me where First Form HQ was going to be one day. And now it's actually a quarter of a mile down the road. The only reason it's not in the spot that he showed me to is there's too much bedrock there. So, I've seen that, but, no, I don't mention that in the book, but 75 Hard definitely obviously plays a huge role in personal development and growth. Yeah.
I mean, we always have to talk about, if you have a Frisella on, I feel like you're obligated to ask about it, right?
Hey, it's the best thing ever. Like, yeah, we do it all the time. We love it. It's almost like we crave it if we're not on that.
I was telling Andy this. It was like myself and there was like 3 or 4 families during the pandemic. We did it. We had a group chat going. We were sharing books,
cool.
Sending we were doing all that stuff. It was an amazing like community project for a bunch of us. And my wife's, she did again, like almost right after, so it's an addictive lifestyle.
It is. And that's, I think the biggest misunderstanding with that is people think it's some sort of like weight loss program. And that's not what it is. That's just like a nice byproduct of it. But whenever I started, because people be like, well, are you trying to lose weight? I'm like, no, I'm not trying to lose weight. I just love the mental clarity and focus that it brings me. And I love the structure. That's what I hear from a lot of people. They love the structure of that. And it's funny because people will start it or they want to start it and they're like, I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't have time. I'm like, trust me, when you start doing this, you're going to realize how much time you're wasting, because you're going to get all these things done and still have time left over.
Yeah. I always say, if you're going to do it, get started early. Mm-hmm. Right. Because, it's like 10 p.m. and I haven't done my second workout. I haven't read my book and I'm sitting there drinking water at 11 p.m. Anyways, this isn't a 75 Hard episode, everyone. It is not. You just had to say it.
We could talk about it all day. We could definitely make it into one.
Yeah, exactly. Are you a new real estate agent or thinking about getting a real estate license? If so, you're going to want to ask about the Greater Property Group's Agent Scholarship Program. Why pay for the cost of the course yourself when the Greater Property Group will subsidize the cost for you? Make sure you reach out and get all the details on the Greater Property Group's Agent Scholarship Program. But speaking of personal development, we like to ask this question: what does your daily routine look like?
Okay. So I wake up, do all the morning routine stuff, like shower, brush my teeth, get my makeup on, all that jazz. And then I come into my office for usually about 2 hours in the morning, kind of get a jump on my day, any urgent emails, things I need to get ready for that day that I didn't do maybe the night before, anything along those lines. Then I head into my studio or to my office at HQ. And I'll work with my teams there because I work with my team for Paper and Plan Company. Then I also have teams for Arete Syndicate and our media company, which is Andy's brands that I manage for him, like the 75 Hard brand himself, our Otis and Charlie, like our dogs books and things like that. So I'll meet with my teams there. And then I go back, I help my team in the warehouse, like packing orders, writing thank you cards, kind of like little rundown of what's going on. And then I usually come back home and then work in my office, just completely quiet, because I get a lot more done, at home when there's no one around or, no distractions. And then I knock out a lot of work. And then usually 6 o'clock, I start dinner and have dinner on the table at 7. And then, I work out sometime in the day. It depends when I have a break. I don't work out at like X amount of time every day. It's really just because my days are all so different, but I'm giving you kind of like the overall average of what they look like. But I'll usually work out like late afternoon usually, and then cook dinner, clean up, do a little work. I'll make us a little bit of a later night snack, I guess you can say, and then do some work and go to bed.
Well, I'm proud of you. You fit a lot in there. Most importantly, you pronounced Arete correctly.
I did.
Almost like you're the COO.
Maybe.
So well done. So what do you and Andy do for fun then? We're in the personal development section of this interview, by the way, in case you didn't notice. What do you do for fun?
We go to our farm. That's definitely, yeah. Go to our farm, ride around like the side-by-sides and things, shoot guns. That's probably like, what we enjoy the most. We go out to dinner every once in a while and things. We don't really travel much unless it's for work. Because we like being home with the dogs and everything, but it would be definitely be spending time at our farm.
Yeah. There's something, I haven't spent a lot of time on a farm, but I do know when you're out in nature, you got the animals and everything else, your blood pressure goes down, right? You get in tune with nature. There's nothing like it.
No, it's like you enter a totally different world. It's so crazy because the second we cross in and we cross our gate or go through our gate, it's just like because it just feels like it's a different place. Like it feels like it's a vacation or something, but it's just fresh air. There's no sounds of cars, no nothing. It's just you out there with nature. It is like, it's so peaceful. That's awesome. Being as busy as you are, is there an app or a piece of technology that you cannot live without? No. I actually am not a technology person. What? There's got to be something. No. Yeah. That I couldn't live without. What do you mean? Besides like a phone? Yeah. Like it's just like, I have to eat my calendar, my email, my. Oh no, iPhone. I do all my planning on my planners paper. That's why I sell planners. Oh, paper and plan technology. Yeah. So I don't like electronics. I don't like technology or anything like that. So honestly, if I just have access to my email through my phone, I'm completely fine. I don't watch TV. I don't like TV. I don't care about a computer. All I need is my phone, email, and a paper planner, and I'm good to go. So for our listeners, that's calendar and iPhone. That's what that is. What's the worst business advice you've ever received? Can you think of any? Man. Well, I feel like I misconstrued it. I messed up the whole like pay yourself first thing. Because when I was younger, I took that as, okay, pay, like literally me take money and then whatever's left, I'll work out on bills. So I kind of took that information the wrong way. But as far as that, I don't think I've ever gotten any true like bad advice. I get a lot of advice from people that have never owned a company trying to offer advice because they don't, and then they don't understand anything. But I don't really think I've been given any sort of like real bad advice that I can think of. Okay, I like it, but you still, it was maybe your own advice. On the other hand, can you think of the best business advice you've ever received? Oh, yeah. I would probably, really, I just feel like it goes back to my dad always taught over, he did this in real life. I saw, but he did always treat people like they were the only customer, the only person that existed and made every single person feel wonderful. That's not really advice. It's more of just like a tip and things that I picked up. So I would probably say that. Like I actually was so stubborn in my early years. I didn't really ask for a lot of advice or help. And I share that in the book of like, I made a lot of very bad mistakes when I first had my first business at 20, because you're 20. My ego was out of control. I'm like, oh, I'm 20. I got a business and blah, blah, blah. I got employees, all this other stuff. I thought I was like doing something great. Like, yes, I saw my dad do it. It was in my blood to be an entrepreneur, but I thought somehow genetically I was going to be already successful without even really understanding what I was doing. So I wish I would, that is like I guess you could say like a little regret. I wish I would have been more receptive to help from people that have gone before me and done things, but I was just not receptive to it at that age. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like with maturity, you get older, life experience, you realize, and we all do it. I know, but I could have saved so much time and headache and stress had I just realized, wait, these people aren't after me. They're trying to actually help me. But yet I was in this method of like, I'm 20. I'm like, oh, I know that, like, oh no, I'm not going to do that because of this. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like, and that's back, this was before social media. I'm 40 years old. This is before social media and everything like that existed. So, I would have been really smart to listen because it's not like I could just make up the sales on social media. It's like, it was like door to door, face to face sales. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting when you look back and you think about it. Yeah. Anyways, I did put you on the spot. You did not have these questions ahead of time. So well done. This one is going to make you think though, Emily. This one's really going to make you think. Okay. If you could have dinner with any three people in history, past or present, who would they be and why? Martin Luther King Jr., Ulysses S. Grant, and Adolf Hitler. Listen, I said you can take your time. Oh, well, I said, okay. But then no, I'll just say it real slow. You actually knew, you knew. All right. I get people thinking and him and Han, you banged those off in about 15 seconds. So let's reiterate again. It was Martin Luther King. It was Ulysses S. Grant. And then Adolf Hitler. Okay. That's a curveball.
You're going to have to explain these.
No,
Yeah.
because all those people are so, we live on Ulysses Grant's property, right?
Yes, I did know that.
Okay.
Andy told me. Yes.
So that's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why with him, but then also the history of, going through what he went through. Same with Martin Luther King, same with Adolf Hitler. I want to hear all of those stories of what they went through and to give a different take on how they were portrayed in media and how they were written about in books and things like that. So it's really just inquisitive dinner.
What an interesting dinner table that would be.
I know, wasn't
What
it?
an interesting dinner table. And there was no hesitation. You didn't even think for like 2 seconds. You said, no, I got it. I got this one. I thought I was going to
I
stump
know
you.
that answer, but not like the best business advice.
I thought I was going to stump you for a second. I thought you were going to think about it. And you're like, nope.
Yeah.
And you fired it off. All right. Final question, Emily. Final question. When all is said and done, what would you like to be known for? What's the Emily Frisella legacy look like?
Someone that made someone feel like someone always. I always want to make people feel like they are someone always. Important, cared for, respected. I want to show gratitude to them. I want them to know that when I die, I gave a shit about them.
Oh, incredible. What a legacy that would be. So, Emily, what an absolute pleasure to have you here. I think our listeners and subscribers are fortunate to have spent some time with you on this podcast, your story, your thoughts, your views on business, entrepreneurship, the new book, of course, fantastic. Can't wait to read the new book. Where do you want people to get the book, or where do you want the listeners to subscribe to your content?
Yeah. All my stuff, I keep it easy. It's all on Emily Frisella on Instagram. It's just at Emily Frisella. And you can click the link in my bio for anything I'm involved in or anything like that.